Oh, hello there. Welcome to my couch. Join me for a cup of tea this afternoon, even though it's hot as hell in New York City. Oh, hello, friends of the internet. Today, I just want to bring all of us girlies together to discuss something a little bit more intimate. I've been wanting to do kind of like a girl talk video, but for female athletes or female identifying athletes for a while now, to just kind of discuss the general struggles that we go through that I feel like we don't talk about enough. If we're talking grievances, then I have a whole damn long ass list of grievances that I can talk about and sit here all day, but I know that you guys don't have all day, and neither do I. This video is a safe space for all female athletes or female identifying athletes, or just honestly anyone who identifies with the issues presented in this video. Oh yeah, I almost forgot how rude of me it is to not do any intros. I'm Kathy, by the way, and if we haven't met through the internet quite yet, hi, hello, welcome to the channel. I'm a 25-year-old competitive figure skater and ex-competitive volleyball player currently living in New York City. I share a lot of my athlete journey here as well as on Instagram, where you can also find me for more related content. So back to our little tea time talk. So first topic of the day, literally just ripping the band-aid off. Let's talk about periods, and especially training and competing on your periods. Gasp, I said it. Is it really that horrifying that we all bleed? No, it is not. It should definitely be more normalized. I think so much of the general population still finds the idea of menstruation so taboo and weird, and we don't talk about it and just shove it under the rug. You know, under the rug is typically where we save room for unresolved relational issues with our partners. Just kidding, don't do that either, not advisable. One of my favorite Olympic moments from the Rio Olympics was actually a Chinese swimmer Fu Yuanhui. And I really hope I did not butcher that, or else my ancestors are coming after my ass. And I loved her because she was super honest with the interviewer when they asked her about her performance, and she was like just doubled over in pain, and she's like, hold on, I need a minute because your girl is freaking dying over here. She literally just like placed fourth in a race while on her periods. She was saying that she got her periods last night and she just felt super weak, but she still pushed through to complete the race. And I have so much respect for Olympians who menstruate. Like, what in the world? Like, how do you even do that? Like, when I have my periods, I'm just like, dude, I just want to be a couch potato all day and eat chips. And I think symptoms for that time of the month really varies depending on the person. Personally, for me, how I see it affect my athletic performance is that when I'm on my periods or close to getting my periods, I get really tired easily, like way more than usual. I also get hungrier, and overall, I just feel like I have so much lower energy. And that is all completely normal. And I would just say some just girl-to-girl advice here. I have a couple things for you guys. I would say one, during this time, it's especially important to pay attention to your nutrition and what you're eating. I would highly recommend making sure you eat enough iron. You literally don't need to be a scientist to understand this, because even me, a measly non-medical professional, can understand that blood has iron. If you bleed, iron goes bye-bye, then you need to eat more iron. Simple as that. So foods that contain a lot of iron include leafy greens such as kale and spinach. Not gonna lie, I kind of hate kale. I'm not sure if that's controversial or not, but I like to opt to eating a lot of spinach during this time. Another good thing is making sure you're eating enough protein and omega-3 fatty acids. So a lot of that is found in fish. So I eat a lot of salmon during that time of the month. I also just realized on personal experience, training while still being on my periods, if I just rely on pure carbs and don't eat enough protein, I will definitely start feeling faint way easier. I also like to take iron supplements on top of eating a well-balanced diet. I will still say I would not just take iron supplements and let that take care of it. There's a lot of random science behind this, but overall suggest eating a well-balanced diet. And second piece of advice I would say is take any other supplements that you feel like would help you personally, whether it's taking it to training or taking it and packing it with you when you travel and when you compete. I know that for some people, taking omega-3 supplements also helps. Other people also like to go the herbal route. I know certain herbal teas are kind of helpful in reducing like cramping and pain when you're on your periods. So ginger tea, peppermint tea. My mom's giving me this random Chinese herbal tea that's supposed to be like a specialized blend for women on their periods. Who knows if it works or not, but honestly, I will take anything. Like literally, placebo effect is insane. Anything to help you feel more comfortable and better before a competition or if you have a hard day of training ahead of you. And the third thing I would say is just remember to bring the things that you need for pain management to training or to your competition to help manage any pain associated with cramps and other PMS symptoms. Personally, for me, I always bring Tylenol and ibuprofen to my competitions, and also I always bring migraine medication, especially when I'm on my periods, because another PMS symptom that I personally have for me, again, we're all different, this is just personally for me, I'm very susceptible to migraines, especially when I'm on my periods. It's almost without a fail, the day before my periods start, I get a really bad migraine. At this point, my body is just warning me that it's about to come. The fourth thing I would say is get extra rest. I've stressed enough times that sleep is so important for an athlete, but personally for me, I already feel so much lower energy and so weak when I'm on my periods that if I don't sleep enough, I physically know that I cannot perform. Like my legs, like I've skated before when I lacked sleep, I'm on my periods, my legs literally feel like jello trying to run a program. So I always try to pay extra attention to my energy level during my periods and get more rest than normal. Try to bake in at least 1 or 2 more hours of sleep at the very least during that time of the month. This is not just for when it starts. I would pay attention to tracking your cycle and making sure you get extra rest a couple of days leading up to your periods as well. And the next one is another given. Sometimes you do have to modify your training a bit. If I know a competition is coming up and it will overlap with the same time I'm planning on getting my periods, I'll kind of train really hard up to my periods. Usually 1 to 2 days before my competition, I actually try to lessen the load a bit because one, that's usually what I do anyways to preserve energy before my competition. But two, sometimes when I feel like I'm really weak from my periods, for example, I think it's better to actually rest a bit because before that, you were training so much that your body should already, in theory, be conditioned and ready to perform, that you don't actually need to go 2000% the day before a competition in order to perform well the day of. So I actually try to rest a bit more to ensure that I can actually have the energy to perform and execute the day of my competition. Another given, drink enough water. I don't have to elaborate on this one. Okay, maybe just one point, I'll shut up. Especially if you're competing at altitude or elevation, you get dehydrated way more easily. Make sure you drink especially more water in those cases. And just overall, I would just say be very cognizant of what your own symptoms are. Everyone's body is different. Everyone's hormonal levels are different. Understand your symptoms so you know how to better manage them and mitigate them when it comes to training or competition. Personally, I don't try to artificially regulate my periods or anything like that with birth control. I know a lot of athletes actually do that to try to regulate their periods a bit more or at least make the flow lighter. As much as possible, I try not to take anything that will cause hormonal imbalance or hormonal shifts in myself because of the impacts that it can potentially have to both your mental health and physical health in the long run especially. There is still emerging research on this every day, but I did actually look up this article from Penn Medicine, so shout out to my alma mater. Not gonna lie, saying that made me sound old as fuck. So this research article essentially says, manipulating the menstrual cycles to avoid performance changes may have dangerous consequences such as masking an underlying issue such as the female athlete triad, and some studies show that certain types may even worsen performance. That's just a personal choice that I make. I don't like to take birth control, but you know, it's your body, your choice, you choose what's right for you. Also, another random topic with regards to this, I personally was never a big fan of tampons. And I know that many figure skaters, gymnastics, swimmers especially, like using tampons because they're obviously more discreet, and we're wearing things like leotards and stuff like that, which is highly uncomfortable probably during your periods. Actually, I don't know why I'm saying probably, because I know so that it is so uncomfortable to wear something tight when you're on your periods. Contrary to popular belief, I feel like pads are generally also fine if you feel more comfortable wearing pads. I wear them because I personally feel more comfortable in them, and I personally buy the really thin ones for when I'm competing that has the wings for a little bit more coverage, just to make sure that, you know, nothing leaks or gets on my costumes and all that fun stuff, because we know already how expensive figure skating costumes are. I personally never found an issue with it, but again, personal preference. Jumping to another big topic that I want to talk about today is body image, body confidence, body dysmorphia in female athletes. I know it's not new news, but I'm just still so sad that there is so much body image, body dysmorphia issues within sports for female athletes. Especially for sports such as figure skating, I feel like a lot of coaches try to make little girls that they coach as thin as possible, to the point where sometimes I see some of them compete. I'm just so scared that when they do a jump, their legs will literally break in half. I think there's a difference between a naturally built, more thin framed and still being a healthy person versus going through extensive hoops and lengths to undereat and overtrain in order to maintain a certain look. Also, if you're curious what overtraining is and kind of never heard of the term, I recently made a video about it, so you can check that out in the description down below. I feel like the sports world in general is just so unforgiving to the female body and to women in general. I know within the sport of figure skating, former US Olympian Gracie Gold has recently spoke out a lot about this, about the issues of eating disorders within figure skating and just the pressures that the figure skating world puts on a lot of young girls to look a certain way. And I think it's absolutely wild that people love talking about female athletes' body in such a way, but almost never do I ever hear a male athlete's body being talked about in a similar fashion. People even make comments about figure skating legend Yuna Kim about how she's been gaining weight since her retirement in skating. Like, okay, no shit. Obviously, number one, she literally was changing from being a teenager to a full-grown woman. Of course, her body is going through changes. And two, she's retired, probably not training to the same degree that she was when she was training for the Olympics. So anyone's body will go through changes if they change their training completely. As women in sports, I feel like we literally cannot win. If you're not muscular enough, you're deemed as weak. If you're too muscular, then you seem too masculine, which is a crazy comment that I know that Olympians like Simone Biles and Suni Lee deal with all the time. So if two Olympic gold medal gymnasts still have to deal with all this bullshit, like imagine what that means for the rest of us. When I was growing up in my formative years, nobody told me what I should be doing and what I should not be doing. Like, I literally wish future me can go back in time and knock some sense into teenage me. As I mentioned before, I used to be a competitive volleyball player before I transitioned over to figure skating, and something I used to be super self-conscious about was my legs and thighs, because as a libero or a defensive specialist in volleyball, I legit spend entire games in a stance that looks almost like a wall sit. Like, even in conditioning ones, I remember my coach literally made all the liberos or defensive specialists do wall sits for 10 minutes straight. How do you expect to not have monster squats after that? And because I have really muscular legs and I'm also on the shorter side in terms of height, I always felt self-conscious of my thighs and how when I put my legs together, they would touch and not form that thigh gap that so many girls lusted after in that 2010 to 2016 era when I was in middle school and high school. I still remember people would always comment that I have thunder thighs, and that would just make me feel super, super uncomfortable. Like, even when the curvy body movement came in and that became big with Kim Kardashian and all that jazz, then that term actually kind of became sexualized, and it just made me feel even more icky as a young female athlete. So sad to reflect upon just how disgusted I felt at myself and by my own body. Even little things like having my thighs rub against each other on a hot summer day would just like disgust me to no end. When I was in middle school and high school, in order to achieve what I thought was the perfect female figure back then, I severely overtrained and underate, which was definitely not good for my health and just my growth long term. So if you're watching this right now, I'm here to tell you that if you are, especially in your teenage years, if you're 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, please, please, please do not just go on TikTok and follow the latest fad diet that will promise you X pounds of weight loss by X days, because one, they don't even work, and two, you are just simply destroying your bodies. Like, you guys have no idea how many of those I watched when I was a kid, how many workouts I did on YouTube that said if you do this for 2 weeks straight, you will get rock hard solid abs. Like, there's so much that the industry is just not telling you, and young girls and young female athletes are especially susceptible to this. You will definitely regret this in the long run, especially if you're an athlete looking to do your sport for a really long time and looking for longevity. And I will just say, recovery is not perfect. I am not perfect. Are there days that bad thoughts still come up and pop up in my brain? Yes, of course, but for the most part, I've truly learned to love my body and appreciate my body because I reframe my thoughts as, hey, my body is helping me do and achieve the things that I love to do in life, which is sports. My strong legs empower me to jump higher in skating, to jump higher in volleyball, whatever it may be. I actually used to actively avoid strength training my legs when I wasn't asked to by my volleyball coach because I was so scared that my legs would look too muscular according to society's stupid standards. But I've learned that that's not necessarily how strength training works, and trust me, it's typically not that easy to look super jacked anyways. In fact, strength training is a very necessary part of being an athlete in any sport regardless of gender, as it ensures that you don't get injured. This is why as a competitive figure skater now, I make sure that I dedicate enough time to plan for strength training, which is why I have RitFit at home so I can work out anytime that I want. RitFit allows me to fit in my strength training routine whenever I want in the privacy of my own home. And better yet, I can invite my other female friends over to my place to work out without either of us having to worry about creepy people at the gym. It's durable and versatile, allowing me to be able to target all the key muscle groups needed for figure skating. And fear not, if you're a beginner to strength training, it's really intuitive and easy to use. Anyways, I got you girlies and boys with the code. As always, you can use code Kathy, that's Kathy with a C, for 12% off your own home setup. Again, code Kathy for 12% off. Thank you RitFit for sponsoring this portion of the video, and check out the link in the description down below. And now back to our regularly scheduled yapping. So all to say, we girlies need to be kinder to ourselves because the world is already such a harsh place on us that we don't need ourselves to be putting more pressure on us. I do understand that it is a long journey to rewrite the narratives that media and diet culture is brainwashing, but trust me, you will come out feeling more confident, stronger, and more ready to tackle on everything that you want to do in your life. Anyways, that's the two girl talk topics that I wanted to get off my chest today and share with you all. If you have any thoughts or pieces of positive advice that you would like to share from personal experience, please do so for our little community in the comments down below, because the more dialogue, the better. Also, comment below if you like these kind of girl talk videos. I know this is like my first one, so it's kind of like an experiment, but let me know if you guys like the format, and if so, I'll make it into a series and we'll get more of these videos going. And if you enjoy these types of open conversations, please like, comment, and subscribe. I will love you 3,000. It will literally take you 1 second, I promise. Okay, till next time, and just remember, you're perfect just the way you are. Not me channeling everyone's 2010 obsession with Bruno Mars. Okay, bye. Why am I so awkward? I feel like I just like to embarrass myself in the privacy of my own home. For your honey, sickly sweet.